anxious and can't hear, you stop watching how loud you talk. And when you're excited about your evil plans, you share details. Patricia managed a small, weak smile. They've basically confessed their whole plan to me over the last few months without knowing I could hear. What exactly is their plan step by step? Patricia took a deep breath like she was preparing herself to relive the scariest parts. Starting when they come back from Miami, Vanessa is going to begin writing down what she calls worrying changes in my condition. She'll call Miss Chen and maybe bring in another nurse for a second opinion. She's going to report that my breathing sounds labored, that my color is off, that she's noticed signs my organs are failing. But you're totally fine right now. Not for long if their plan works. She's going to increase the drug amounts to actually cause the symptoms she's reporting. Problems breathing, irregular heartbeat, signs that my body is shutting down. Patricia's voice was clinical, like she was talking about someone else's death instead of her own. The beauty of their plan is it will look completely natural. A brain-injured woman whose body finally gives up. How long do they think this will take? Based on what I heard, they're planning for it to happen over about 2 weeks. Long enough to seem natural but not so long that it becomes inconvenient for them. Patricia paused. They want me dead before New Year's Day. That was less than a month away. And what about after you're dead? What happens then? They inherit everything as my next of kin since Vanessa is my daughter. The house, the remaining money, my life insurance policy. They've already researched inheritance laws to make sure there won't be any problems. Patricia's voice got cold. They've even picked out my burial spot, the cheapest one they could find. No point wasting money on a dead woman, they say. I was shaking with rage and horror. We have to stop them. We have to find a way to prove what they're doing. I've been thinking about that for months, Patricia said. The problem is everything they've done has been very carefully planned. The hospital records, the money documents, even the people who can say I'm in a coma. It all supports their story. But we know the truth now. We know what's real. We know the truth, but proving it is completely different. Patricia looked at me with an expression that was both desperate and determined. That's why I need your help, Margaret. You're the only person who's seen me awake. You're the only one who knows what they're really doing. What do you want me to do? Patricia was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was stronger than it had been all day. I want you to help me gather evidence. Real proof. The kind that even the best lawyers can't explain away. How do we do that? They think they're so clever, but they've made one big mistake. Patricia's eyes had a fierce gleam in them. They trust you completely. Derek believes his sweet, innocent mother would never suspect anything bad. He thinks you're the perfect witness because you're too naive to see what's really happening. So we use that against them. Exactly right. Over the next few days before they come back, I need you to help me find proof of what they've been doing. Bank records, medicine bottles, anything that shows the truth about what they're stealing and planning. Patricia gripped my hand tightly. And when they come back and start the final phase of killing me, we'll be ready for them. What if they suspect something? What if they realize you're awake and can think? Patricia smiled, and for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw hope in her expression. Then we'll give them the best acting performance of their lives. We'll let them think they're winning right up until the moment we destroy them completely. The determination in her voice sent chills down my spine, but they weren't chills of fear anymore. They were chills of excitement and anticipation. For the first time in my whole life, I was going to fight back against people who used and tricked me. And we were going to win. The next 3 days passed in a blur of careful detective work. Patricia and I worked together like spies, gathering evidence whenever Miss Chen wasn't scheduled to visit. We had to be incredibly careful about timing. Patricia would pretend to be unconscious during the nurse visits, and I would play the role of the worried caretaker, asking normal questions about her condition. Miss Chen was a sweet woman in her 40s who genuinely cared about her patients. Watching her check Patricia's vital signs and tuck her blankets with such gentle care made me realize how completely Derek and Vanessa had fooled everyone. Her breathing sounds steady today, Miss Chen said during her Thursday morning visit, writing notes on her chart. How has she been through the night? Very peaceful, I answered. hating how easily the lies came now. No changes that I noticed. After she left Patricia and I immediately got back to work. She told me where to look in the house for places where Derek and Vanessa had hidden proof of their crimes. Check the safe in Derek's closet, Patricia whispered. The code is 4792. That's where they keep the fake documents. I found exactly what she was talking about. Copies of legal papers, bank papers, and medical forms, all with Patricia's signature. But when I compared them to her real signature on some old birthday cards, the differences were obvious to anyone paying attention. They practiced forging it, Patricia explained when I showed her what I found. I caught Vanessa tracing my signature on practice paper months ago. When I asked her what she was doing, she said she was helping me write thank you cards for get well wishes. I believed her then. We also found records of the illegal drug purchases. Vanessa had been ordering sedatives through sketchy websites using fake doctor prescriptions and made-up names. The shipping records were all there hidden in a shoebox in their bedroom closet behind the winter coats. She's been getting them delivered to different addresses, I told Patricia as I took pictures of everything with my phone. Post office boxes, neighbors' houses when they're on vacation. Even some to your old address in Boston before you moved here. How much has she spent on all this poison? I added up the receipts. Over $4,000 in the past 5 months. All paid for with money transferred from your bank account. The irony made me feel sick. They were using Patricia's money to buy the drugs to kill her with. But our most disturbing discovery came when I found Vanessa's notebook. She keeps a diary. Patricia asked when I told her what I'd found hidden behind cookbooks in the kitchen. Not exactly a diary, more like experiment notes. I felt sick reading it. She's been writing down everything. The drug combinations, the timing, even her notes about how you react to different amounts. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Read me some of it. I opened the notebook to a random page and read aloud. September 20th. Increased morning dose to 6 milliliters. Subject remained unconscious for 21 hours. Breathing remained stable but heart rate dropped to 55 beats per minute. Need to adjust to avoid suspicious readings during nurse visits. She's treating me like a science experiment, Patricia said. Her voice barely above a whisper. I turned to another page. September 27th. Subject showed signs of awareness around hour 18. Made soft moaning sounds when repositioned. Gave additional dose immediately. Note: may need to increase standard amount to prevent breakthrough consciousness. My God, Patricia. She's been studying how to keep you unconscious more effectively. What else does it say? I flipped through more pages. Each entry more chilling than the last. October 5th. Discuss timeline with D. Agreed to begin final phase after Miami trip. Will document declining conditions starting November 15th. Estimate 12 to 14 days for complete respiratory failure. D excited about January cruise. Suggested upgrading to penthouse suite with our windfall. Patricia closed her eyes but not before I saw tears forming. They're talking about my death like it's a vacation planning session. The final entry was the absolute worst. November 10th. M will be perfect witness to final days. Her testimony about peaceful final weeks will be crucial for any insurance investigations. D says his mother has always been easy to fool. She'll never suspect anything. Looking forward to finishing this and moving on with our lives. Can't wait to be free. I set the notebook down, my hands shaking with rage. She calls you the subject and me M like we're not even real human beings to them. Because to them we're not real people. We're just obstacles in their way and tools to use. Patricia opened her eyes and I was surprised to see determination instead of despair. Did you photograph every single page? Every single one. But now we need to put everything back exactly where we found it. We can't let them know we've discovered their evil plans. We spent the rest of Thursday carefully putting all the evidence back, making sure everything was positioned exactly as we'd found it. Patricia coached me on how to act natural when Derek and Vanessa returned. Remember, you've been caring for an unconscious woman for 4 days. You should seem tired, maybe a little overwhelmed. Ask them lots of questions about Patricia's condition and what to watch for. Act like the concerned, slightly anxious mother-in-law who's out of her depth. Friday morning Miss Chen made her usual visit. As she checked Patricia's vitals, she made a comment that sent chills down my spine. Has anyone else been giving her additional medications besides what's on the schedule? She asked, studying her charts closely. Her heart rate seemed slower than it should be. My mouth went dry with fear. Just what's on the schedule you gave me, nothing else. Miss Chen frowned slightly. Well, these things can change. I'll make a note for her doctor to review. She looked at me with concern in her eyes. How are you holding up, dear? This can't be easy watching someone in this condition. I'm managing okay, I said, though inside I was screaming. She was seeing the effects of Vanessa's drugs without realizing what they really were or what they meant. After she left, Patricia and I discussed what the nurse's observation might mean. They've been dosing you even while they're away on their trip. I realized with horror. There must be some kind of timed release system. Check the 4-bag carefully, Patricia suggested. Vanessa changes it every day before the nurse visits, but she might have added something to this one before they left for Miami. I examined the 4 setup closely and found what looked like a small extra chamber attached to the main line, almost invisible unless you knew exactly what to look for. That's it, Patricia said when I described it to her. She's been giving me extended doses through the 4 system. That's why I've been having trouble staying conscious for longer periods of time. Should I take it out and disconnect it? No, don't touch it. If Miss Chen notices a sudden change in my vitals before Derek and Vanessa return, it might raise questions we're not ready to answer yet. Just leave everything as it is. We were running out of time to prepare our trap. Derek had sent a text message that morning saying their flight was delayed by weather, but they'd definitely be home by Saturday evening. That gave us less than 30 hours to finalize our plan. What exactly are we going to do when they walk through that door? Asked nervously. We're going to let them start their final murder phase exactly as they planned it, Patricia said calmly. But this time we'll be recording absolutely everything they say and do. Saturday afternoon my phone buzzed with a call. Derek's name appeared on the screen and my heart started pounding like crazy. Hi, sweetheart, I answered, forcing my voice to sound normal and unsuspecting. Ma, change of plans, his voice came through. Our flight got moved up to an earlier time. We'll be home in about 2 hours instead of tonight. My blood turned to ice water. We weren't completely ready yet. Oh, that's wonderful news, I managed to say. I know you're both anxious to get back and check on Patricia. How has she been doing? The same as when you left. Miss Chen says her vitals are stable. She seems very peaceful. The lies felt like poison in my mouth. Good to hear. Listen, Ma, I want to prepare you for something important. The nurse mentioned that Patricia's condition might start going downhill soon. These things happen with brain injuries sometimes. Patients seem stable for months then take a sudden bad turn. He was already laying the groundwork exactly as Patricia had predicted he would. Oh no, that sounds scary. What should I watch for? Changes in her breathing, her skin color, things like that. But don't worry too much. Vanessa will know exactly what to do when we get back home. She's been through this before with other patients. Course, I understand. I'll see you both soon. After I hung up, I ran to tell Patricia about the change in timing. 2 hours, she said. Her voice steady despite the scary circumstances. That's enough time to set up the recording equipment and get everything ready to go. Recording equipment. Where did you get that? Patricia smiled slyly. Did you think I've been lying here helpless for months without making any preparations of my own? There's a box hidden in the garage behind the old paint cans. Bring it up here quickly. When I found the box, I was amazed at what was inside. Small digital recording devices, a tiny camera, and what looked like professional spy equipment. Where on earth did you get all this stuff? I ordered it online months ago when I first realized what they were planning to do to me. It took weeks of pretending to be unconscious while delivery packages arrived, but I managed to hide everything before they could find it. Patricia's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. They think they're so clever and smart, but I've been preparing to destroy them for months and months. As we quickly set up the hidden cameras and recording devices throughout the room, I felt a mixture of terror and excitement coursing through me. In just a couple hours Derek and Vanessa would walk through that front door believing they were about to complete their perfect crime and get away with murder. Instead they were walking straight into a trap that would expose them for the evil monsters they really were. "Are you absolutely ready for this?" Patricia asked as we heard a car pulling into the driveway outside. I looked at this incredibly brave woman who had endured months of abuse and manipulation, who was about to risk her life to bring her tormentors to justice. "I'm ready. Let's do this." The front door opened and I heard Vanessa's voice calling out cheerfully, "We're home, everyone." The final phase was about to begin. "Margaret, we're back." Vanessa's voice carried that same fake sweetness I'd grown to recognize as a major warning sign. I heard their footsteps in the hallway, the sound of suitcase wheels rolling across the shiny floor. Patricia squeezed my hand once, then immediately went limp, her eyes closing as she slipped back into her unconscious performance. The transformation was so complete, so utterly convincing that for a moment I almost believed she really was in a coma. "How is she doing?" Derek asked as he appeared in the doorway. His face showed what looked like real genuine concern, but now I could see the cold calculation hiding behind his expression. "Very peaceful the whole time," I said, standing up from the chair beside Patricia's bed. "Miss Chen was here this morning. She said vitals were stable but mentioned her heart rate seemed a little slower than normal." I watched Vanessa's face very carefully as I said this. There was a quick flicker of something that looked like satisfaction before she rearranged her features into an expression of worry. "Oh dear," she murmured, moving to Patricia's bedside with theatrical concern. "Sometimes that can be an early sign of changes in her overall condition." She placed her hand on Patricia's forehead with fake tenderness. "Poor mother. She's been fighting so hard for so long." Derek moved to stand beside his wife, and for a moment they looked like a devoted, loving couple worried about their family member. If I hadn't known the horrible truth, I might have been touched by their apparent grief and concern. "The nurse mentioned we should watch for any changes," I said carefully. "What exactly should I be looking for?" "Well," Vanessa said, still stroking Patricia's hair with phony affection, "with brain injuries like mother's, sometimes patients can take sudden turns for the worse without warning. Their breathing might become difficult. Their color might change. It's all part of the natural progression of her tragic condition." The way she said natural progression made my skin crawl with disgust. She was already preparing the false narrative for Patricia's murder. "Is there anything we can do to help her be more comfortable?" I asked, playing my part as the concerned but clueless mother-in-law. Derek and Vanessa exchanged a look that lasted just a fraction too long, and I knew they were communicating silently. "We just have to keep her as comfortable as possible," Derek said in a somber tone. "Make sure she's not experiencing any pain or distress." "The medications help with that," Vanessa added smoothly. "I'll need to adjust her dosages based on how she's been responding while we were gone." I felt my pulse quicken with fear and anticipation. This was it. They were about to begin the final murder phase of their evil plan. "Should I stay longer to help? I could take some time off from work if you need me." "That's so thoughtful of you, Ma," Derek said, and for a split second I almost believed the warmth in his voice was genuine. "But you've already done so much for us. You should go home and get some well-deserved rest." "Actually," Vanessa interrupted sharply, "maybe Margaret should stay tonight. Just to make sure everything goes smoothly as we transition back to our normal care routine." Derek looked at her with surprise. This wasn't part of their original plan apparently. "Vanessa, I think Ma has done more than enough already." "No, I really insist." Vanessa's smile didn't reach her cold eyes at all. "Family should be together during difficult times like these." Something in her tone sent major alarm bells ringing loudly in my head. This wasn't about wanting my help or company. This was about control and having their witness present. "Of course I'll stay as long as you need me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady and calm. "Whatever you both need from me." Over the next several hours I watched them settle back into their routine with mounting horror. Vanessa checked and double-checked Patricia's medications, making careful detailed notes about dosages and exact timing. Derek spent time on his laptop and I caught glimpses of what looked like travel websites and bank account statements. During dinner, Chinese takeout food eaten mostly in tense silence, Derek's phone buzzed with a text message. He glanced at it and smiled in a way that made my stomach turn over. "Good news?" Vanessa asked curiously. "The cruise line confirmed our suite upgrade. Penthouse level with a private balcony overlooking the ocean." He looked over at me and added casually, "We're taking a long, well-deserved vacation after the holidays. We've been under so much stress with Patricia's condition lately." "That sounds absolutely wonderful," I managed to say through gritted teeth. "You both definitely deserve a nice break." The casual way they discussed their murder celebration vacation while sitting just yards away from their intended victim was breathtaking in its pure cruelty. Later that evening, as we sat in the living room, Vanessa began what sounded like a carefully rehearsed speech. "Margaret, I want you to know how much it means to us that you've been so involved and helpful in Mother's care," she said in a sugary voice. "It really shows what kind of wonderful person you are." "She's always been so dependable and caring," Derek added, reaching over to pat my hand in a gesture that made my skin crawl. "Even when I was growing up, Ma was always there whenever we needed her for anything." The irony of his words wasn't lost on me at all. I had been there when he needed me to provide perfect alibis for his crimes. "I just want to help however I can," I said softly, playing my role. "You've helped more than you could possibly know." Vanessa's voice dropped to a more serious tone. "But I need to prepare you mentally for what might happen over the next few days and weeks." "What do you mean by that?" I asked, pretending ignorance. Derek leaned forward with a grave expression on his face. "Sometimes with brain injuries like Patricia's, patients seem stable for months and months, then suddenly take a dramatic turn for the worse. Their body systems start failing one by one without warning. It's absolutely heartbreaking," Vanessa added, dabbing at her dry eyes with a tissue for effect. "But it's also a kind of blessing in a way. Mother won't have to suffer much longer in this vegetative state." They were so convincing, so well practiced in their deception and lies. If I hadn't heard Patricia's true story, if I hadn't seen the damning evidence of their crimes with my own eyes, I would have believed every single word they said. "Is there anything I can do to help during this difficult time?" I asked, playing along perfectly. "Just be here with us," Derek said earnestly. "Having family around makes it so much easier to cope with loss." Vanessa nodded in agreement. "And if anything happens, if Mother takes that sudden turn we're worried about, we'll need you to help us understand that we did absolutely everything we possibly could to save her." There was out in the open. The real reason they wanted me to stay close. They needed their perfect witness present for the final act of their murder play. Around 9 o'clock, Vanessa announced it was time to give Patricia her evening medications and treatments. "This might be a good learning experience for you, Margaret," she said as we walked together to Patricia's room. "In case you ever need to help with her care again in the future." I watched in horrified fascination as Vanessa prepared the injection with practiced ease. She was so casual and comfortable about it, chatting pleasantly about the different medications and their supposed purposes while she drew liquid from multiple small vials into the syringe. "This one is for pain management," she explained calmly, holding up one vial to the light.